Hello and welcome. I'm Jess. I've been a yoga teacher for a little over 11 years, and this is my channel, Yoga for the Apocalypse. Thanks for being here. The topic of today's session, class, short discussion at the beginning, is heartbreak. So sometimes I try to generate ideas while I'm doing ordinary things like showering, listening to music, and maybe that's less about idea generation and more about receiving information, right? And in the form of intuition. In the case of this morning, it was song lyrics. I don't know, I had a "She's like the wind" that was in my head this morning, so I played that song, and the next song that came after, chosen by whatever, the robot DJ, was "Nothing Compares to You" by Sinead O'Connor. That version anyway. I don't know, did Sinead write that, or was it Prince? I don't know. That's something I'll have to find out. But anyway, so I'm in the shower, I'm listening to this song, and I find myself dropping into the emotion of the song and how crushing heartbreak can be when you miss someone so desperately and you have other opportunity in life and you could do this and that and the other thing, but you're counting the days and the minutes away from this person that still has your heart. And in your mind, and perhaps relative to your experience, so your reality, not just your mind, nothing compares. Nothing compares to that connection, to the feeling that you had from being with them, whatever it is, right? And there's a certain level of, like, I don't know, despairing that might go along with that, when you have to really accept that this loss, whether it was from like a breakup, a romantic split, or if you're experiencing heartbreak because you lost someone to death. There's so much more though, right? Let's talk about it a little bit, because I think those are the two areas that we sort of relegate for grief that we consider to be acceptable and noteworthy in this culture. I'm in the United States, so I'm talking about American culture specifically. So we have this, it's okay to grieve relationships, it's okay to grieve death. What about divorce? What about friend breakups, miscarriages, abortions, dreams that you are never able to realize? There are so many causes of heartbreak and grief. And of course, just global calamity right now, depending on where you are, and you may or may not be more directly affected by some of the things that are happening. And in my case, certain things are getting much closer to home. I mean, if I allow myself, I will grieve on the spot to the things that I am perceiving, such as, I'll just give one example because I don't want to get too tangential here, of these ICE kidnappings. I'm not going to call them arrests. They're not arrests. These are not identified officers of the law that are minding the law. These are abductions. Excuse me. They're often violent and they are indiscriminate. And I regret to admit, I'm embarrassed to admit, I don't regret it, that oftentimes I can't even watch them happen, because they affect me so viscerally that I have to stop what I'm doing and catch my breath. And then when I sit with it a little bit longer, I realize that I can always access that pain of loss and heartbreak for those that have left this realm, those that I love that I can no longer connect with because of life circumstances or whatever it is. And all of the times where I felt like paralyzed by my own heartbreak, as if it would never go away, and lost in that feeling that is really beautifully captured by that song, those lyrics, right? So I thought, you know what? What if I teach a yoga class that would support those who are recovering from heartbreak of any kind, heartache? So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do. And I invite you to grab what you have available to be most comfortable, because there's not going to be any effort required in this class. This class is going to be about safety, feeling safety. And if we don't feel safety, we're going to try to foster it and cultivate it. This will be about self-nurturing and nourishment and settling, grounding, recalibrating. So I don't think this is going to be a long practice. I haven't set out for a very specific time. I think everyone right now is at a loss for both attention and time. So I do think that we can probably be mindful of both of those things. And I just want to briefly touch upon heartbreak one more time in terms of the feelings that it brings about in the body. So if you happen to be going through a loss right now, and you would identify yourself as heartbroken and feeling heartbroken, you might actually feel in your body, in your heart, physical pain. Physical pain. That would be normal. That would be normal. Not necessarily insignificant or inconsequential, but definitely normal. The pain might register like an ache. The pain might register like a burn. And maybe it feels like something altogether different. I'm sorry, I'm momentarily distracted. There's a television screen behind the camera here that was off and just turned itself on, and I'm the only person in the room, so I don't if it starts speaking, I'm gonna go grab it. Okay, so maybe some of those things are familiar to you. Maybe some of those feelings and responses to heartbreak are familiar to you. Another common feeling when you are having a heartbreak is that feeling like it really isn't ever going to end. Like you're never going to feel better. Like this loss defines you. And there are some losses that may define you, right? There are some things that people go through that do change them profoundly and permanently. And it's not necessarily like a whole personality change, or it doesn't mean that you will never be whole. But sometimes losses will mean that you have to evolve into something different. And that can be a bit much to process as well when you've lost something, right? So it's like expansive pain. And then there are the other consequences that can be really unsettling, especially if you're out and you're making all the money, you're the one responsible for yourself or for your family in terms of generating income and a living. You got to keep going, and you feel vulnerable emotionally and like easier to kind of set off or stir emotionally. And sometimes we just need to like corral and hold softly. Corral's kind of an aggressive word. But gather and hold with tenderness our emotional state and protect it for a little while it's fragile, because when we have heartbreak, we're hurt. We're like a wounded thing. We're a wounded being. And what do wounded beings need? They need love, right? They need nurturing. They need attention and maybe a little bit of a gentle time out to recover, because you are injured. You see what I'm saying? And as I'm doing this, look, this is just instinctual. This is actually to be part of our practice today. But anyway, I digress. One last quick point, and we'll get right into just the practice. When you are heartbroken, perhaps your mind is ruminating, your physical heart is hurting, you're maybe not sleeping as well, you could use some extra help, but you don't have it. This can stir up a feeling of craziness, like disconnected from everything that's happening around you, only insofar as like you can be connected enough to operate, but you're not connected in an authentic way because you're wrapped up in your own emotional state, right? And sometimes that like disconnect from what's happening inside, what's happening around you, when you are heartbroken, can make you feel crazy, for lack of a better term. So yeah, when we feel this way, it's my hope that we would have the time to deliver some care to ourselves. And it doesn't have to take long, and it doesn't have to be complicated, and you don't need to know any yoga. You don't ever have to have done yoga before. I'm just going to take a few tools that I use with the students I currently have, string them together, and that's it. We'll together take a moment to honor a broken heart and all that it means to have one, including the beautiful generosity of your heart that you shared and opened to someone else, right? That you loved, to the extent that their absence is causing you, of course, this is just one example, their absence, whatever it is that you are grieving, is causing you actual heartbreak. And that means you're alive and you are a person with a heart that cares, that wishes to connect in life from an emotional space. And that's beautiful. And we should honor that in one another, because that's our humanity. That's our humanity. So in both celebration, reverence, and compassion for our collective humanity and our broken hearts, please make yourself comfortable. I'm sitting on a pillow, any kind of blanket that you might have around. Got one of these yoga blankets. It doesn't have to be a yoga blanket. I have a pillow from my couch. If you have a wall nearby, that would be cool. We're going to try legs up the wall. If you don't have a wall, maybe you've got pillows that you can stack. I think I need to back this up a little bit. Kind of like so, to get a little bit of height for a variation of legs up the wall. Gather some things. So I also grabbed for myself here some incense. As to me, when I'm doing something with intention, I like to mark the space and time. So I'm going to mark the space and time here for all of us that are here today to give love to ourselves, to our own hearts, to provide them with a little layer of protection, perhaps after a moment of allowing and inviting whatever feelings we have to be present so long as we feel like we're in a safe place physically, whatever's around us and whoever's around us would allow for us to have a few minutes together for self-nurturing. Grab your pillows. So be seated. I'm going to use a little bit of support. You could sit on the edge of a pillow. For just a moment here. I invite you just to relax your shoulders away from your ears and soften your hands. I'm grabbing a resource that I have here, the vagus nerve card deck, just to remind me of some of the selections that I've chosen for today's practice. I invite you to either close your eyes if you feel like it's an okay time and space to do that, or just kind of cast a downward gaze. So we just let the eyelids kind of be heavy, kind of drape down a little bit. And feel for a moment the inhale arrive in the body and the exhale leave the body. And take your hand, your right hand specifically. We're going to bring that right hand and place it in the area over the heart. And just take your mind and your tactile senses here and feel the weight of your hand, maybe the temperature of your hand over your heart. Let's take that left hand. I'm going to place it on top of the right. Now, I just instinctively started to rock from side to side. I welcome you to stay still or try a little bit of movement. Could be side to side, could be forward and back. All the while staying connected to your hands on your heart and sensation of breath arriving and leaving the body. If you could, imagine you could send your breath to your hands from your heart. Some weird yoga teacher thing to say, right? Just kind of harnessing the power of imagination here. Simply to create a connection between our mind in this moment and our physical body and our heart and what is there either physically or emotionally. And as you're feeling it here and tuning into sensations, you can identify them. And I invite you to kind of just observe that they're there from a slightly disconnected place, like a little bit detached for a moment, if you can. And if you can't, I understand that, and that would be a very telling sign of heartbreak. So if you find you cannot detach from your emotions right now, they are right there at the surface, ready to bubble over, please give yourself permission to let them. Let them. Whatever we're doing here, we're breathing. If it's too much to have your hands on your heart right now, relax your hands away from your heart. Just keep breathing. We're going to be here for just another 20, 30 seconds or so. What if we could breathe some of the love that's behind that grief from our hearts into our arms and hands, and from our hands and arms back into our heart. When you feel ready, just relax your hands. Yep. And check in. See how you're feeling. I'm just going to put these aside. We're going to keep it really kind of short and sweet here. I'd like to show you legs up the wall, which is like a classic restorative yoga posture. Viparita Karani is the Sanskrit word for legs up the wall. But before I show legs up the wall with an actual wall, I want to show you a variation that's more available and that might be, I don't know, more available, meaning easier to get into, no matter what body you're in. It might be appropriate also for the feeling kind of heartbroken. So if you have like a chair, just like a kitchen chair or even a folding chair, you would have that right in front of you. I'm going to use these pillows here as an approximation of a chair. They're going to be a little lower than a chair seat, so up a little higher would be great. Come around. Legs over the pillows, right? Okay. So this is one variation. It'll be up to you what you want to do with your arms and hands. If you're feeling like it might be beneficial or you're open to like an opening of the heart right now, you could open the arms or make kind of like goalpost arms. Both of those are heart opening gestures. If you feel like more closed and protective, have your hands on your ribs. We're going to come back to having a hand over the heart. If you have a pile of blankets around your pillows, it might feel good to kind of encapsulate yourself, cocoon yourself a little bit. So I would invite that type of action. I'm going to give a quick demonstration of legs up the wall with a wall. I think I'm going to use this wall over here. Okay. So when you're doing legs up the wall, you eventually want to get the backs of your legs as close to the wall as possible, even like your butt and tailbone and everything. And you would start in a similar position as this. And when you get into legs up the wall, you're both going to kind of roll onto your back and turn your body toward the wall at the same time. Now, I've had a lot of practice with this, so don't feel bad if you can't get into it that quickly. This is it. The one benefit of doing this practice with the wall is that you'll be able to do some variations with your legs, depending on what you might need with your hips. But if you want to just do like classic Viparita Karani as a restorative posture, this is it. Okay. I'm going to leave you, hopefully, in the comfort of whatever posture you selected. For a few minutes. And as you're here, I'm just going to bring your attention, or try to help bring your attention to your breath and to certain parts of the body that might require a little tension release. Okay, so again, can we notice the breath as it arrives and as it leaves the body. Let's begin to gather information about our environment and the space that we're in, physically surrounding us with the senses. Noticing sounds that may be present and the feeling of the air in the room that you're in. Does the air feel still? Can you detect movement? Temperature? What sounds are present both in your immediate environment and in the space outside and around you? And can you allow all these sounds to be present without attaching to any single one of them too much? Can you notice the back of your body right now? Just letting the weight of the back of your head rest upon the earth. If you happen to notice that your chin is slightly higher than your forehead on your back here, can you place a little layer of something right behind the base of your skull so that your forehead and your chin are kind of at the same height? We want the spine here to just be like a nice long line, and then your thigh bones, your femur bones, about as straight up and down as they can be from the hip, with your calves and shins and ankles resting over or in the legs up the wall position. And just feel your body in this line, whether you're on your back with legs over pillows or legs up the wall. Feel every part of your body that is connected to the earth beneath it, the wall, the furniture, whatever it is. And invite this body that is holding pain right now to be held up by all of these supports around you so that you can kind of let go of some of the weight of this in whatever form you can. You know, if you feel like you can cry, I by all means invite you to cry. If you would like to cry and you can't, perhaps bring in some imagery into your mind that symbolizes a release, right? Of any sort. What works for you? Is there a way that you can imagine a letting go here if you need to? And invite the light that is the breath, the life force that is the breath, and that is the spirit, into the body with each inhale. Right, we're breathing in light, maybe substance. You can give it an image and you can give it a name and you can give it a purpose. But as you're exhaling and just resting here, give your exhale a purpose too. For me, my exhale, the purpose of my exhale is to let go of the things that are old and stale, and let go of residing pain so that I might make space for that next inhale, which is in effect the light of life. The light of life. So breathing in that light of life and breathing out whatever it is for you in this moment that you could use the release of. And we'll stay here just for a few more minutes. Just breathing and being. Because that's enough right now. As we breathe, as we be, may we also invite our body to soften. Let's start with our shoulders right now, our neck, our jaw, our mouth. Can we be soft here as we breathe? Maybe we revisit bringing one or both hands back to the heart. We're taking this time and moment to acknowledge the pain that we're actually in, the heartache that we feel for the losses of the people that we have loved, or the future that we yearn to have. Can we just take a moment to imagine in some way encapsulating this heart, not with a wall, with whatever kind of web or layer of protection that you might require right now, to let your heart stitch itself back up as hearts do. I'm imagining gauze. I got a gauze. You can be as creative as you want. That's not original. I just gave it as an example because I think sometimes people think too hard about the cues and that they give themselves and the imagery. It can be very mundane. I'm wrapping my heart in a gauze. So in a moment here, we're going to prepare just to transition back up to seated. We're not in a hurry. We're taking our time. I invite you to roll over to one side and stay there for a couple of breaths before making your way back up to seated. back in your seated position here. Or whenever you get here, welcoming you back. I'm going to offer one more technique I teach to my students that I work with. It's especially helpful if you are absent, like myself, of another human being to hug and be hugged by, generally speaking. And it is super simple and self-explanatory. It's just a self-hug here, so hold yourself. Let your chin drop in. Again, you might find your body wants to move. Mine goes right into that rocking. I don't know if it's the mother in me or if it's the child in me. Maybe it's both. Rocking, swaying. We can stay here. We can switch our arms. Or we can bring hands together at heart, on the top of the lap here. I know my hands aren't in the frame. Or an Anjali Mudra, hands at heart. Whatever you want to do, whatever posture is working for you right now. I'm just going to leave you with a few more words for you to give to your heart with me here in this moment. So perhaps we're imagining here, as I am, that we are holding this heart, this wounded but gentle, kind, compassionate heart. And we are sending to this heart in the form of energy, love, our own love, our intention of love, or maybe it's like an image that you create if you can't connect with the emotionality of it right now, where you're taking this heart and you are protecting it in your gauze or whatever it is that you choose, and you're holding it in your hands or in a nest that you've created in your mind's eye, and you're beholding it. And you know that this heart is hurt right now, but you are protecting it and you're nurturing it and you're giving it the love and the time and the energy that it needs to patch itself back up. And I invite you to imagine what that might look like. Your patched up sweetheart. And maybe you can take that vision, that image a step further, imagining that heart being strong and restored to its full health and potential, physically and emotionally. You know, unencumbered by whatever it is that you chose to protect it with. And it might be plenty of time before you can move on that image, that intent. But we want to place it here, the image of our whole, healthy, compassionate heart, to help it along. So, a few more breaths here together, just breathing into this gorgeous, sweet heart of ours that is hurt. With others, and with gorgeous sweethearts that are also hurt. Sending some grace, some peace, some tenderness to all the broken hearts in the world. And may we all be free of heartbreak. May we all be returned to a state of wholeness in our hearts. I thank you so much for your time today, your attention, your practice, your self-compassion, your willingness to feel your feelings, your willingness to feel better or try for your own sake. Yeah. Heartbreak is its own little apocalypse, isn't it? Thanks so much for coming. I look forward to another session. I invite you to leave a like. If you like the video, leave a like, please. That's so nice. If you have anything to say, say it. I'll see you next time.